we have not had the resources for a generation to really do anything significant in terms of the mission of the church here. We have tried to get by basically on the regular annual support of congregations. That's allowed us to basically keep things going. It really hasn't allowed us to do anything significant in terms of missionary involvement in the diocese. So we need a campaign that will provide us with the extraordinary resources we need to really accomplish the mission that we have. And there's nothing more frustrating, I think, for all of us to be in any kind of organization, even the church, when you don't have the resources to do what you're called to do. What I see is a great deal of energy in the diocese around this campaign and the commitment that folks have to this campaign and the clear objectives we have for mission work. So that's the reason we're having the campaign. We need to raise the extraordinary resources to do the mission. But this campaign is not about building buildings or buying land. It is about building capacity in people to really get serious about being disciples in our diocese. So that's why we're doing this campaign. Well, the goal and the timing of the campaign really is over the next 5 to 10 years. We need to raise the resources so we will have the capacity to engage in the mission that God has called us to do for the next 5 to 10 years. The first part of it, of course, is educating folk. We need to let folk know what we're doing, what we're about, how's it going to happen. And that's kind of the phase we're in now. And I would think the fundraising portion of the campaign is the next 3 to 5 years. If we have raised the funds in that time frame, we will be able to expend those funds over the next decade in a really, I think, effective way. There's not really a target dollar amount. I mean, if you add up the cost of every one of the 9 objectives we have for the campaign, it's a little over $24 million. But we're not approaching it as, the classic thermometer on the wall with, as we go up the thermometer, we raise the funds. What we're doing is trying to say, this is what God has called us to do in this diocese. These are the objectives for the future of the mission of this diocese. And then go to folk and say, would you like to support one of these missionary objectives? And if you would, which one's exciting to you? So if we raise $5 or $6 million in this campaign, I'll be the happiest camper in the world. If we raise 20 million, great. It's not about raising a certain amount. It's about raising the resources we need for these specific missionary objectives and then doing it and expending those resources. This is a major donor campaign, so we're not asking everybody in the diocese to give on top of their already hopefully generous annual gift to their congregation. We're going to identify 200 to 250 households in the diocese that we think have the capacity to make a transformative gift to support the campaign. And we're going to be very clear with them, if a gift to the campaign is in any way going to negatively affect your gift to your congregation, then we don't want you to make it. This is above and beyond your usual support of your congregation. So this is, in that sense, it's a major donor campaign. It's not everybody dig deep and pony up, because if we did that, we probably would hurt local stewardship, and that's the last thing we want to do. We actually want this to be a net benefit to local stewardship. I was consecrated as bishop. The very first diocesan council meeting we had was in March of 2010, and having seen what was financially available to us in terms of missionary dollars, I began a conversation with diocesan council about having a feasibility study. I know this early on, and maybe it might be good for the bishop to be bishop for a couple of years and get to know folks before starting a campaign, but I didn't really feel like we had, and council agreed that we had the luxury to wait. So we hired a consultant to do a feasibility study for us, Royster Hedgepeth, and many folk around the diocese know Royster now because he spent about 1.5 years traveling the diocese, holding listening sessions in every corner of the diocese. And I think about 450 folk at the end of the day participated in one of those listening sessions. So it was a reasonable representative sample of the diocese. And if you were at one of those listening sessions, at the end in the parish hall, wherever you were gathered, people had come up with goals. This is what the diocese ought to be doing for the future. And they put them up on newsprint, and all around the perimeter of the parish hall were these goals. And everybody got 3 Post-it notes. And you could go, these are the 3 things I think the diocese ought to be doing. And we took all those down. We did not just put them in the recycling. We actually took them down. Royster tabulated all the results. And that's how we came up with the campaign goals of congregational development, helping our congregations grow spiritually and numerically, really working on the training and leadership for clergy and lay leaders, and what I call a full court press on youth and young adults, bringing youth and young adults into the church through leadership formation and other things. So those are the 3 broad goals, and those were the top 3 goals that the people of the diocese identified. They weren't goals that I came up with or diocesan council came up with. They were the goals that we heard from everybody in the diocese. The 4th goal, if you will, on the list that we heard from folk was Honey Creek. We need to do something about our camp and conference center. But Honey Creek is not really a goal of the campaign. It is a strategic asset for the campaign. It is where we will train folk for congregational development. It's where we're going to do most of our training programs for clergy and lay leaders. It's be a place of spiritual nourishment and resource development. And the resources that we're talking about are the people of the diocese, not some ephemeral thing, but the flesh and blood people of the diocese. And it is a wonderful place to nurture and grow the faith of our youth and young adults in the diocese. So Honey Creek is indispensable as a resource, but it's not a goal in and of itself. But everybody can be, I think, a supporter of the campaign in the sense of, first of all, being aware that we're doing this and how crucial it is for our future, and sharing that news with other people in your congregation, and then simply beginning to dream. I think for a long time, because of our limited resources in this diocese, we have not dreamed big dreams. We have not thought big thoughts. We have not even hoped that we could accomplish great things. And I know we can. So folk getting involved that way, even if there eventually is no particular grant that goes to, St. Swithin's Church for the campaign, just beginning the process of thinking, yeah, we can do something here. We're not stuck. We have resources. We have assets already that we can put into play. We have talents, if you will, as Jesus uses that image in one of his famous parables. We have talents that we can put in play for the kingdom of God in our context. I think that's transformative alone, just getting people excited about what might be, rather than, so often it's easy to get negative or to think that nothing can be done. And the truth of the matter is, a lot can be done. A lot can be done, even with the resources we currently have. Wouldn't it be great, though, if we had millions of dollars to really engage in this kind of mission? That would be wonderful.